Have you ever looked in the mirror and seen a stranger staring back, someone who feels both alien and achingly familiar? That's where my story begins, friends. A tale of masks that became my truth, of makeup that hid and then revealed the woman I'd always been inside. If you've ever felt that tug, that secret longing to be seen as your authentic self, lean in. Feel the fear that knotted my stomach, the curiosity that lit a fire in my chest, the excitement that made my heart race, the embarrassment that burned my cheeks, and the empowerment that finally lifted me up. This isn't just my journey. It's an invitation for you to walk beside me, to immerse yourself in the highs and lows, the whispers and shouts, until you feel transformed too. Let's dive in, from that fateful evening when a simple kit changed everything. It was a crisp autumn evening, the kind where the wind whispers through golden leaves outside your window, carrying the scent of rain and distant bonfires. I was 28, holed up in my showbox apartment in the heart of the city, the walls closing in after another grueling day as a freelance photographer. I'd spent hours capturing corporate headshots, smiles that didn't reach eyes, poses stiff as starched collars, while my own life felt like a faded snapshot, colorless and unfulfilled. Deep down, I'd always harbored this quiet fascination with makeup, stolen glances at online tutorials during sleepless nights, my finger hovering over the buy button but never committing. It was a secret, buried under layers of denial, a part of me I didn't dare acknowledge in the daylight. That night, though, something snapped. A brutal rejection email from a potential client, "Your style lacks edge," pushed me over the edge. I poured a glass of red wine, the bitter tang grounding me as I scrolled through an online beauty store. Impulse took over. I ordered a beginner's makeup kit, all in neutral tones to start subtle, promising myself it was just an experiment, a way to unwind. The package arrived faster than expected, thumping against my door like fate knocking. My hands trembled as I unpacked it on my cluttered vanity, the room lit by a single bare bulb that cast long, dramatic shadows on the peeling wallpaper, the air thick with the musty scent of old books and takeout containers. I started simple, following a tutorial on my phone. Cleanser first, cool and foamy against my skin, wiping away the day's grime and leaving a fresh, tingling canvas. Then primer, silky and smoothing, gliding under my fingers like a promise of perfection. Foundation dotted on my cheeks, nose, forehead, blended with a damp sponge that bounced softly, evening out my tone to a flawless porcelain glow I'd never seen on my face before. Concealer under my eyes, tapping gently to banish the dark circles from too many late nights editing photos. Powder dusted lightly over it all, set with a soft puff that felt like a whisper. My reflection in the smudged mirror shifted subtly, features softer, but still recognizably me, Kyle, the guy who hid behind his camera. Encouraged, I moved to the eyes. A neutral beige shadow swept across my lids, blended into a subtle crease with a warmer brown, the brush feathery against my skin. Eyeliner thin and black along the lash line, a tentative wing at the corner that took 3 tries to get even. Mascara coated my lashes, lengthening them into fans that made my green eyes pop with unexpected depth. Blush on the apples of my cheeks, a warm peach flush that mimicked a natural blush. Lips last, nude liner outlining carefully, matte lipstick gliding on like velvet, the color settling into a perfect pout. But as I blended the lipstick with my finger, something impossible unfolded. The mirror seemed to fog. Or perhaps my vision blurred. A warmth spread from my lips outward, tingling like pins and needles waking a sleeping limb, radiating through my cheeks, down my neck, into my chest and limbs. I watched, frozen in horror and awe, as my jawline softened before my eyes, cheekbones lifting higher and more defined, skin glowing with an inner luminescence no product could fake. My hair, usually cropped short and dark, began to grow, strands lengthening in luxurious waves of auburn, tumbling past my ears, then shoulders, silky and full. Lips plumped even fuller, eyes widened slightly with a natural almond shape. And lower, my chest ached with a deep pressure, swelling into soft, rounded curves under my plain t-shirt, the fabric stretching taut over what felt like B-cups turning to CS, waist cinched inward as hips widened dramatically, my jeans creaking at the seams. Legs elongated gracefully, feet shrinking a size or two, everything reshaping into feminine contours that were undeniably real, warm, sensitive, alive. I gasped, the sound emerging high and breathy, not my familiar baritone but a sultry, feminine timbre like a late-night radio host seducing listeners. "No, what is this?" My voice echoed in the small room, melodic and foreign, sending chills down my spine. I clutched the edge of the sink, heart thundering like a drum in my ears, breaths coming in short, ragged bursts. Disbelief crashed over me first. A hallucination from bad wine? An allergic reaction gone nuclear? I grabbed remover wipes, scrubbing my face raw until my skin reddened. But the changes remained. Hair still growing, body unaltered. Tears welled up, the mascara I'd applied streaking black rivers down my cheeks, even though I'd only used a light coat. Fear choked my throat like a vice. What if this was permanent? Work gigs tomorrow, rent due next week, my life as Kyle unraveling thread by thread. How would I explain? Who would believe? But amid the terror, a tiny flicker of curiosity ignited. I touched my new lips tentatively, soft, plump, sensitive to the lightest brush. Cupped my breasts through the shirt, warm and real, the sensation sending unexpected shivers through my core. I twirled slowly, hair swishing against my back like silk, hips swaying naturally in a rhythm I'd never known. Beautiful. Masked in makeup, but somehow unmasked inside, the woman reflecting back held my eyes but radiated a confidence I'd envied in others. I collapsed onto the bed, sobbing turning to hysterical laughter, the sound tinkling like delicate bells in the quiet apartment. How had this happened? Why me? The kit's box mocked me from the floor, no warnings, just cheerful packaging promising transform your look. Little did I know, it had transformed everything, pulling the secret girl from my shadows into the light. The disruption slammed into my daily life like a sudden storm, upending the routines I'd taken for granted, turning every mundane interaction into a minefield of stares, whispers, and awkward silences that left me reeling. Tuesday morning arrived mercilessly, the alarm screaming at 6 a.m., pulling me from fitful dreams where I chased my old reflection through endless mirrors. I stared at the ceiling, heart sinking as I hoped for reversal. Perhaps it was temporary, a bizarre 24-hour curse. But no, the hair had grown even longer overnight, brushing my mid-back in glossy waves, my body fully settled into its curvaceous form, skin still glowing with that unnatural perfection. I tried dressing as Kyle. Boxers sagged loosely around wider hips, jeans too tight at the thighs and butt, gaping at the waist, my shirt straining awkwardly over C-cup breasts that jiggled with every move. Binding them with an ace bandage from my first aid kit pinched and restricted my breathing, flattening them somewhat but leaving an unnatural bulk. Hair pulled into a low bun, but tendrils escaped, framing my softened face. No makeup needed. My skin was flawless, pores invisible, a natural luminosity that no filter could replicate. My first freelance gig was a wedding consultation at a cozy cafe downtown, the air thick with the aroma of fresh pastries and coffee. The clients, a bubbly young couple in matching hoodies, did double takes as I approached their table. Kyle? You look refreshed. New diet or something? The bride tilted her head curiously, eyes scanning my face and body. I forced a deeper voice, throat straining. Something like that. Let's talk about your big day. But it cracked mid-sentence, pitching higher into that feminine lilt. They exchanged quick glances, the awkward silence stretching as I pulled out my portfolio, hands trembling slightly. These are some samples, I said, voice slipping again. The groom nodded politely, but their enthusiasm waned. The meeting ended early with a vague "we'll call you." I knew they wouldn't. Embarrassment burned in my chest, the lost job a punch to the gut. A quick coffee run post-meeting turned into another ordeal. The barista, usually flirty with her winks, stammered as she handed me my latte. Sir? Here's your order. Her eyes darted from my bound chest to my face, confusion plain. Stares from the line bored into me, a guy in line muttered loudly enough to hear, "Freak show over there." My cheeks flamed, confusion swirling in my mind. How to navigate this? Hide forever, or explain the unexplainable? I fled back to my apartment, unbinding in the bathroom, gasping for air as blood rushed back to my chest, skin marked red from the pressure. Friends piled on the chaos. My best friend, Sam, texted mid-afternoon. "Beer after work?" Usual spot. I dodged with "busy shoot tonight." But he called anyway, his voice booming through the phone. "Dude, you bailed last time too. You sound off, like my sister when she's got a cold. Everything good?" I deepened my tone artificially, throat aching from the effort. "Totally fine, man. Just tired." Silence lingered on his end. "Okay, but hit me up soon. You're acting weird." Hanging up, guilt knotted my gut. How long before he showed up at my door, demanding answers? Family was the deepest wound. My sister, Ava, video called that evening as I paced my living room, the city lights twinkling outside like mocking stars. Bro, you missed our family movie night. You look pretty? Are you using filters or what? The screen captured my softened face despite my careful angling, her brow furrowed in concern. No, just the lighting in here, I replied, forcing a laugh that came out too high. Your voice too? Like puberty in reverse or something. She chuckled uneasily, but pressed. Seriously, spill. Dad shouted from the background. Son, sound manlier. What's going on? Son. The word landed like a slap, echoing my inner confusion. I ended the call abruptly, tears hot on my cheeks, the apartment feeling smaller than ever. Social tensions peaked throughout the week. A grocery store run became a nightmare. I opted for baggy sweatpants and a hoodie to hide, but the natural sway of my hips drew eyes anyway. A kid in the produce aisle pointed bluntly. Mom, that man's dressed like a lady. The mother shushed him with an apologetic smile, but my face flamed crimson, cart abandoned half full as I bolted out. Work emails flooded in. Kyle, availability for next week. I replied vaguely, my mind fractured, gigs drying up. A potential client meeting over Zoom. Your looks, distracting our team. Can you explain? I stammered about a personal phase, fear gripping my chest like ice. Isolated in my apartment, life on pause, the mask of makeup had disrupted everything. Fear, embarrassment, confusion, a toxic brew. But in the quiet nights, when the city hummed below, curiosity began to whisper louder. What if I leaned into this, explored the woman staring back? Secret exploration became my sanctuary, the apartment transforming into a private laboratory where curiosity bloomed into quiet excitement, one incremental discovery at a time. With doors locked and blinds drawn tight against the prying world, candlelight flickering soft shadows on the walls, the air scented with vanilla incense from a burner on my nightstand, I let the masked woman breathe. It started tentative, that first night after the disruption, shedding the binding bandage and Kyle's clothes like shedding an old skin. Standing naked before the full-length mirror in my bedroom, the warm glow highlighting every new curve, breasts full and perky, nipples pebbling in the cool air, my touch sending tingles of sensation that made my breath hitch. Waist slim and defined, hips round and inviting, fingers tracing the smooth skin like velvet under my palms. Internal thoughts raced. This is masked, not real, but it feels so right, so alive. What harm in enhancing it? Just for me. The makeup ritual became a meditation, cleanser foaming richly, rinsing away the day's stress with cool water that left my face fresh and tingling. Toner patted on with a cotton pad, cooling and tightening pores. Serum dropped onto fingertips, absorbed into skin for deep hydration, the sticky texture fading to smoothness. Primer smoothed over it all, creating a grippy base that felt like preparation for art. Foundation matched perfectly to my new tone, beauty blender bouncing with rhythmic taps, blending seamless coverage that hid any imperfection. Concealer dotted under eyes and on spots, fingers tapping to melt it in, brightening with a natural lift. Setting spray misted in a fine cloud, leaving a dewy finish that caught the light like morning mist. Eyes with a focus of discovery. Primer on lids for grip, shadows layered meticulously, champagne shimmer on the inner corner for light, taupe in the crease for depth, blended with a fluffy brush that whispered across skin. Liner in gel form, applied with an angled brush for a sharp wing that took shaky practice but eventually flicked precise. Lashes curled with a metal tool, mascara wand combing through for volume and length. Brows brushed and gelled, pencil filling in for a natural arch that framed my face elegantly. Cheeks contoured with bronze powder along the hollows, blush in coral swirled on the apples for a healthy flush, highlighter in gold dusted on the high points for a radiant glow that shimmered with every turn. The sensations enveloped me like a hug. Creams cool and creamy, powders dusty and soft, scents a mix of cosmetic sweetness and floral notes from the products, textures varying from liquid smoothness to powdery finish. Gorgeous, I whispered to my reflection, practicing my voice, a light giggle that bubbled naturally, a breathy sigh that sent shivers down my spine. Clothes came from cautious online hauls, packages arriving discreetly, panties in silk, sliding up my thighs with a whisper-soft caress, cupping intimately in ways that made my pulse quicken. Bras in demi-cup style, wired for lift, clasp snapping secure, straps adjusting with a soft tug. Tights in sheer black, rolling up my calves slowly, hugging smooth and taut like a second skin. Dresses were revelations, a bodycon in black velvet, zipper purring up my back like building anticipation, clinging to every curve from bust to knee. Blouses in chiffon, buttons fastening with delicate fingers, fabric flowing ethereal. Behavior discoveries unfolded incrementally. Heels in slingback design, ankles wobbling at first on the apartment rug, but soon evolving to a confident sachet, the clicks rhythmic and empowering like a heartbeat. Voice apps on my phone guiding practice, pitch raised for femininity, inflection softened for warmth, recordings played back until high, I'm Kylie sounded seamless and natural. Internal dialogue swirled constantly, Kyle would slouch and hide. But she commands the room, she owns her space. Incremental thrills piled up, nails filed smooth, polish in ruby red applied with base coat for adhesion, layers for depth, top coat for glossy shine. Drying under a fan with fingers splayed like art. Perfume spritzed on pulse points, a cloud of jasmine settling warm and inviting, lingering like a signature scent. Hair styled with care, curlers for loose waves, pins for elegant updos that exposed my neck gracefully. Evenings deepened into themed explorations. Office chic with a pencil skirt tailored to hug hips, paired with a tucked blouse for poise. Casual with boot-cut jeans that flared just right, a cropped top teasing a sliver of midriff. Dancing to upbeat pop in the living room, body moving fluidly, discovering rhythm in the sway of hips and bounce of hair. Excitement built with self-touch, exploratory and gentle. Nibbling the sensitive spot on my neck, stroking inner thighs, shivers building to waves of pleasure I'd never known. Small victories celebrated. A perfect smoky eye after failed attempts, a voice monologue that flowed without cracks. Curiosity snowballed into obsession. Blending styles like a men's tie knotted loosely over a dress for a hybrid tease that blurred lines intriguingly. Each session ended with reluctant wipe down, remover pads erasing layers, clothes folded neatly away. But Kylie, the masked woman, lingered in my thoughts, her excitement now dominant over the fading fear. The apartment walls felt confining. What if I took this outside? Tested the mask in the real world? Personal growth sparked over the weekends, tentative outings evolving into bold experiments, building confidence layer by layer like applying foundation. It began with a dawn walk in the park, the air fresh with morning dew, birds chirping a soundtrack as leaves crunched underfoot. I chose a tank top with built-in support, hugging my curves discreetly, paired with athletic shorts that contoured my legs, sneakers quiet on the path. Makeup natural and minimal, BB cream for even tone, a swipe of tint on lips for subtle color. A jogger passed with a friendly nod. Nice morning out here. My reply came soft and steady. It really is. Anxiety hummed low in my chest. What if someone spotted the changes as unnatural? But the excitement of blending in, of moving freely without stares, overrode it like sunlight-piercing clouds. Emboldened by that small success, I ventured to the weekend market the next day. Outfit bolder but comfortable. A casual midi dress in soft cotton, ballet flats for easy steps. Eyeliner subtle and brown for definition, gloss on lips for a pink sheen. The stalls bustled with life, vibrant veggies piled high, scents of spices and fresh bread mingling. A vendor grinned as he handed me a sample. Flowers to match your beauty. I chatted about prices, voice lilting naturally. How about a deal on the bouquet? He laughed and agreed, the interaction flowing like a conversation with an old friend. Strangers smiled in passing. A group of shoppers complimented the dress, inviting brief talk. Victory felt sweet, no whispers of confusion, just genuine connection. Internal shift, this fits me, this persona. The anxiety is there, but it's blending with the thrill, becoming manageable. Growth accelerated with a solo brunch at an outdoor cafe the following Sunday, sunlight warming my skin through the canopy of trees. Jumpsuit in wide-leg style for comfort and flair, low wedges adding a subtle height. I ordered with bold confidence, Greek salad and iced tea, please, voice steady and warm as the server smiled back. As I sipped, a woman at the adjacent table leaned over. That outfit is so cute. Where did you find it? We talked fashion and local spots, laughter easy and light. Anxiety lingered as a shadow. What if my voice slipped too feminine for comfort? But comfort in Kylie grew, the excitement dominant like the buzz of bees in the flowers nearby. Weekend events escalated my experimentation. A gallery opening downtown, where I wore a knee-length cocktail dress in navy, block heels for stability amid the crowd. Mingled among art lovers, glass of wine in hand. What do you think of this piece? To a stranger, who replied thoughtfully. It's deep, evokes emotion. Care for another drink? The flirtation was light and fun, a number exchanged but no pressure. Later, a dance venue with live music pulsing through the air, where I swayed in the crowd, body responding to the beat with natural grace. Small wins accumulated. Compliments on my style, shared laughs over drinks, interactions that built like bricks in a wall of confidence. Across these outings, interactions deepened. Booth chats at a street festival turning into deeper conversations about life, a park picnic where strangers joined my blanket, sharing stories under the sun. Internal reflections shifted profoundly. The excitement of being Kylie leads now, anxiety just a companion that keeps me alert, not afraid. Blending worlds felt seamless, the masked beauty no longer a secret burden but a tool for growth, comfort settling in like a well-worn glove. I was ready for the inevitable climax, the confrontation that would force me to choose. The climax erupted like a dam breaking, conflicts that had simmered for weeks boiling over into a raw confrontation that tested every fiber of my being. Work discoveries had become inevitable, the changes too blatant to bind away any longer. A client meeting for a portrait session turned sour. "Kyle? You don't look like your profile pic." Their eyes scanned me head to toe, confusion turning to discomfort. I stammered explanations, but the gig slipped away. Then Sam burst into my apartment uninvited one evening, key from our old roommate days. "Enough dodging, talk." He froze at the sight of me in a casual top and skirt, makeup light but present. "What the hell? Explain this, everything." Tension crackled. I showed the kit, but he paced. "Magic makeup? That's insane. Fix it, man." The peak came at the family dinner I dodged for weeks, Ava insisting until I caved. I arrived in a hybrid outfit, pants with a feminine blouse, to test the waters. Ava opened the door, gasping. "Bro? Wait, sis? You look amazing, but what happened?" Mom hugged me tight, tears in her eyes. "My child, you're beautiful, but why hide?" Dad frowned deeply. "Son, this some joke? Act normal." Questions flew like arrows, accusations of deception, judgments sharp as knives piercing my heart. Emotional storm raged, tears streaming down my face, defenses crumbling under their stares and words. Fear peaked in waves. Lose my family, my friends, my work? Confusion twisted like a knife. Hide forever behind bindings and lies, or embrace the mask as truth. In the living room under the warm lamp, surrounded by photos of old Kyle, I made the pivotal decision, voice trembling but resolute. I'm Kylie now. This masked version is the real me. Embrace her or not, but I choose this life. The resolution unfolded like dawn breaking after an endless night, my choice igniting a chain of acceptance and positive transformation that empowered me beyond what I thought possible. The next freelance gig, I showed up as Kylie, professional blouse tucked into slacks, makeup subtle but enhancing my features. The client, a magazine editor, smiled. "You have a fresh energy, let's shoot." The session flowed, my confidence behind the camera shining through, landing more bookings. Sam came around after long talk over beers. "I was scared, but you're still you, better, even. Support all the way." His hug sealed our friendship's evolution, stronger for the honesty. Family followed with surprising grace. Ava organized a shopping day. "Let's build your wardrobe, sis." Mom cooked a special dinner, tears turning.